this. 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, welcome back to DIS, The City It Speaks. Today we are going to be talking about the monk way of the stone will. Last week was the fighter subclass of the Inquisitor, all about being kind of a cleric or like a partial cleric, partial fighter, almost like a paladin in a different way. This one is the way of the stone will. And the author, I've got it from Reddit, and the author is Cole T. Nelson. The link and the author's name will be in the description. Without further ado, let's go on and go into it. Way of the Stone Will. The Way of the Stone Will trains its students in a soundness of mind and form that few will ever achieve, and to use this strength to create a body of stone hard form. Focused on anchoring themselves to the ground beneath their feet, monks of the Way of the Stone Will are unmovable and unbreakable, and a fearsome foe to battle in combat. A stone will monk who often adorns themselves with marks of mud and sand across their chest, and traveling in ornate designs down their legs to their feet in beautiful twisting motifs that identify them. First subclass feature is molded into form. Starting when you choose this tradition at 3rd level, your monastic training has connected your physical form to the physicality of the earth and stone beneath you. Your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level in this class. Additionally, while on the ground, you have advantage on ability checks and saving throws against effects that would move you or knock you prone. Monolithic strikes you also get at 3rd level. You have mastered the ability to ground yourself to the earth beneath and deliver devastating blows. At the start of your turn, if you choose not to expend any movement, you may expend 1 ki point before any attack with an unarmed strike or monk weapon to deal maximum damage instead of rolling. You may make this choice after the attack roll is made, but before it is determined whether the attack hits or misses. Shifting Sands. At 6th level, you begin to learn how to physically meld yourself into the earth around you. While on natural terrain, you gain a burrow speed equal to the additional speed granted by your unarmored movement. Burrowing in this way, so long as you do not use any additional movement, does not prevent you from using monolithic strikes. Additionally, the first attack against you after burrowing in this way has disadvantage. Force of the Rebel. By 11th level, you have learned to channel the core strength of the stone into your body and deliver a punishing blow in return. As a reaction when you are hit with a melee attack, you may spend any number of ki points to reduce the damage taken by a number of martial arts die equal to the amount of ki points spent. If this reduction reduces the damage taken to 0, you may make 1 unarmed strike against the attacker as a part of this reaction. If this attack hits, the target is knocked prone. And last but not least is Mountain Walker. At 17th level, you no longer merely invoke the strength of the stone, but can will mountains themselves to move at your command. Once per long rest, you may cast Bones of the Earth from Xanathar's Guide to Everything as an action on your turn. When cast in this way, you may use your burrow movement granted by Shifting Sands to move from one pillar to another as if there were no space between them, costing only 5 feet of movement to enter one pillar and exit another, appearing in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the destination pillar. So, the criteria, again, is if I like it, If it's too overpowered, what do I think of the narrative and the story? Does it work with a class? Is it similar or too similar to another official subclass? And again, of course, if I like it. All right. So story and narrative wise, I think it's a pretty interesting twist on the monk itself, because monks are in Dungeons and Dragons are pretty notorious for their ability to move around very fast. And so the fact that they're trying to change their mobility for added damage is pretty interesting. Molded into form, you gain additional hit points. Your maximum is increased, which is interesting. I think it makes sense. I don't think it's too overpowered. I actually think even with that advantage on ability checks and saving throws, that would move you or knock you prone. Even on top of that, the fact that it's your at third level, your hit point maximum increases by 1, instead of, I think some others are like at third level you would increase by 3 and then it increases by 1. So for every level, it's just an additional hit point. So it makes it a little underpowered. But it makes sense for the story and helps make it a little more of a tanky monk, as well as monolithic strikes, which when you don't move, you can spend a key point to deal extra damage, which makes sense. That would be, so here's only 3 key points, I believe. So you can only do it 3 times, unless that's on top of the other uses. Oh, okay. Shifting sands at 6th level. The burrow speed granted by your unarmored movement, which is interesting. By 6th level, your unarmored movement, your additional movement would be 15 feet. It goes up to 30 feet at 18th level, I think. Yeah. And so if you just do burrowing, and then you can still use your monolithic strikes, which is cool. And then the first attack against you after burrowing has disadvantage, which is interesting. Makes sense. I don't think that's too overpowered. I think it might be. No, I don't think it's underpowered. I think it's cool story-wise too. The Force of the Rebel lets you use a reaction to absorb the damage or reduce the damage, and then you can attack back if it's at 0. And this is also, you are spending key points for this. By 11th level, I believe you have 11 key points. Say your key. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, by 11th level, you would have 11 key points. And I think that's nice. It helps bring it the monk of the Way of the Stone will a little more tanky, taking the damage and stuff like that. And then Mountain Walker, once per long rest. This, you don't use key points, but it's just once per long rest, which I think is a good trade-off of using key points. Cast Bones of the Earth, which is a pretty cool spell. Makes sense also. Let me. Bones of the Earth is it's from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. It's a 6th level spell, so It's a weaker spell, but then like spellcasters would get it, as they would have 8th level spells at least, or 9th level spells, I think now. Then, but it makes sense for a monk because they don't usually cast spells. And the fact that you can like teleport between the pillars created by the basically teleport kind of tree stride through using that burrowing, which is very cool. Very helps get over the immobility of this subclass. Yeah, and I don't think it's too overpowered. Let's see here. So I like the story, the narrative. I think the features aren't too overpowered. I think maybe some of them might be a little underpowered actually. But when I actually playtest it, which I will when I find some people and get time, we can see for ourselves if this is actually pretty powered or not really. Um, let's see here. If it makes sense with another subclass, I don't think so. Um, I think it makes sense with this class. It's not too similar to any other subclass of monk. And it seems as if this is going against every almost most fiber, a big component of the monk. But I think and it's hard to counteract that in a successful way that still brings um, intrigue and excitement to the monk, and I think it does it pretty well. Another thing I like about it is that there's only two additional things that you can use with your key, which is the reaction at 11th level and the monolithic strikes at 3rd level, meaning that you don't have to, meaning that there's a greater chance that you will use those instead of like a Way of the Four Elements where you cast spells using the key points, and there's not a lot of key points that you use, especially at lower levels. What else? So similar. Do I like it? I do like it. Again, you know me. I am a stickler for grammar. Grammar. Whatever grammar is, let me know. Grammar. And so I would only change a couple words. So soundness of mind and form that few will ever achieve. I think it's few will ever achieve. Just a little bit. And to create a body of stone hard form. I think a body of a stone hard form. I don't know. It just sounds a little choppy. Or I would say immovable and unbreakable. Let's see here. Is there something else? Yay, English grammar. Yeah, I think those were the only two. This is a very short one. I guess it just depends on the subclass. So this was the Way of the Stone Will. A very interesting monk subclass that trades the mobility of the monk with added damage and sustainability in combat, which I think it does in a really good way. It's definitely not as tanky as a barbarian or a paladin or even some fighters, but I think it can get close. Speaking of that, the next subclass that I'm going to do next week is a paladin oath, which is the Oath of the Guardian, which looks to be a little sneak peek. It looks to be similar to the Oath of Redemption, but and more of a support, but it's not as healing heavy. It seems a bit more buffing than anything else, which should be interesting. I found that also on Reddit. All right. Again, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you you enjoyed my insights. Thought this was interesting and informative. If there was something I missed or something you don't agree with, please comment below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it, subscribe this on this channel, and make sure you get the notifications tab open so you know when I do it next. But by now you should know how often I do it. If you don't like it, if you don't like it and you feel like it was annoying and boring, you can feel free to share it with your enemies, people you hate, people you are annoyed by. And if you do like it, enjoy it, feel free to share it with the people you like, friends and family and all that fun stuff. Your D&D group. And either way would help me because I get publicity. Publicity. I have a weird sense of humor. Anywho, again, I found this on Reddit. I just kind of copy pasted it by Cole T. Nelson. Again, it's not mine. And if you're interested, I'm sure there's a way for you to support it. I can look for it. Again, I am thinking sometime of supporting it myself and maybe making it easier on you to find a place for you to one-stop shop of support some subclasses and maybe support me so that I can do these and do this in a better way, in a more insightful way, without using a camera phone. Wow, that's not a camera phone. A laptop camera and simple iMovie stuff. And I think you can tell that they're different like PowerPoint slides and pretty bad sound system and all that fun stuff, but I'll work with that as I do. Yeah. Join me next time as I do the Paladin. It should be really interesting, really, really fun.